at that moment, it was so earth-shatteringly painful. And when your expectations are dashed like that, I felt like that I had lost a child. I felt like I was mourning at the death of a child, and then on top of mourning the death of a child, I had now this responsibility of this other child to take care of, and it wasn't just the death of my child then that I had to mourn. It was the death of what I saw as the end of my career. It was the end of all my expectations for Penelope, and for what being a sibling was going to mean for her.
You know, life adjustments had to be made, and now people were telling her that all the intervention that Max was going to need, he was going to need hearing intervention and sight intervention, and he was going to need physical therapy and occupational therapy. And you know, she said, how can I do this? My life doesn't have time for all this. And you know, do I give up the rest of my family? Do I spend all my time with Max? And you could see the tumult in her head, and you know, the decisions that were going to have to be made as to where does my time go, and who gets time for what, and do I ever get any time for myself again, or do I have time for my husband and our family, you know, and what I had envisioned before Maxwell came along.
I can honestly say there were a few nights where I would just go to bed and I would cry and cry. This little guy would sleep next to me in the bassinet next to me, and he couldn't hear me and he couldn't see me. You know, he had a hard time tracking things, and I didn't know what life was going to be like with him. I had a hard time connecting with him, and I wanted to jump off a bridge. And if I could take him with me, then he wouldn't be this burden on the rest of our family. And of course, that was never an option. I love my family, and I am a person who is very luckily hardwired to see the glass half full. And I learned a great deal about myself during this period of time. My husband was a rock, and he would always remind me, Jennifer, it's about the family. It's not just about this child. I trust you to figure this out. I trust you that you will find a way to make this work somehow. You'll be happy again.
You know, we solve problems at work. That's what we do, and especially me. As a guy, you know, I like to solve problems, and that's what I do at work, is solve things, you know. So you try to get your head around that, and you start to immediately dictate how you think we're going to deal with this situation, both immediately and long term. You know, that whole week I had to drive back and forth to the hospital every day, you know, and you'd go and you'd learn a little more information, and based on information, you know, we were so keen on trying to understand, like, you know, well, how are we going to deal with this?
It's nice to be outside, huh, Max?
I felt like I had put a frame around this, and that I was just so obstinate and stubborn, and I kept standing in front of this frame and looking at this picture going, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. And I thought, well, turn the picture upside down, Jen. I had that control, and I woke up and I somehow knew that. I realized overnight that this was I was in control of this. This is not something happening to me. That if I wanted to be this way, I could be this way. And if I didn't want to be this way, I could see the picture differently. I could look at it differently. And so from that moment on, I left I can't go on living my life this way, to, okay, you know what, this is the new reality. What am I going to do about it?